This week we will be discussing our next two movies in Studio Ghibli's canon, and that is Kiki's Delivery Service and Only Yesterday. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-hosts, Danny.
Hello.
And Luke.
What's up?
Alright, and we'll start with Kiki's Delivery Service. I'll just start with some production notes first, because this was Studio Ghibli's first huge hit. Castle in the Sky did okay. Nausicaa did really well, but that wasn't like Studio Ghibli. But Totoro, Grave of the Fireflies didn't do as well as they'd hoped. Honestly, Castle in the Sky and Totoro both made back a lot of money later on with merchandising and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But this was their first huge hit. And they honestly, I don't know if they expected it to be, but I think Miyazaki just was confident it would be, honestly, because it's about young women. And no one was doing movies like this, back then, really. Not with a heroine that was self-supporting, and actually kind of mature, and actually setting off in life. And that's why a lot of people consider this movie to be Miyazaki's portrayal first off of just the Japanese Tokyo life of Japanese women coming to Tokyo and living there, but also just of Ghibli's staff, because that was the thing that you wanted me to remember, because this is also whenever Ghibli kind of just completely changed the animation industry by hiring an actual staff. Because before that, it was just it was like a consulting, basically. You would work, or contracting, you'd work until the movie was done, and then you'd be out of a job for however long until you get a new one, And so a lot of animators would be go from animating to having to work at a convenience store, because they just had to make money during the time, a lot of artists nowadays do also. But they Ghibli's completely changed that with Kiki's Delivery Service by actually hiring a staff and keeping them on staff throughout the rest of Ghibli's lifespan. Mm-hmm. But I guess we can actually just get into the movie now. What did you guys think of it? I'll start with you, Luke.
Kiki's Delivery Service I watched, I think, last year, a year ago. And so I was excited to rewatch it, and I definitely love it this time. I definitely thought it was pretty good last time, but I thought it was really good this time. Really, I just love how low stakes it is. It's it's honestly just a fun, kind of cute, but you're basically just following this girl as she's entering adulthood, basically, and just the struggles with that. And it's honestly, Kiki is one of Miyazaki's most relatable characters, I think, because just her being so excited to be independent, and then she goes and she's now basically an adult now, and then now she's oh my god, I hate this. This isn't the Rainbows and Sunshines I was thinking of. This is actually hard,
Yeah.
So I really like that about that, and it's just a fun movie. I don't know, yeah.
She's definitely relatable.
Oh yeah.
Is she his most relatable? I
don't know.
She's definitely up there for sure.
I don't know who else would.
I like where at least the discussion would take you with that, in terms of, because I can kind of see what he's saying in terms of, at least the way I was relating to the movie where I liked it so much was, at least kind of what this movie was about to me was that almost feeling of losing that kind of childlike wonder you have when you're hit with reality of the real world. Having she does, she has her own business.
Yeah.
And everything. She basically is literally
at 13.
Yeah. But that's another kind of part of the movie, though, right? Because she's from a village, or
she's from
it kind of seems like she's from an ancient time too, when people actually believe in witches.
This huge theme in the movie is about there's kind of I don't know, kind of two viewings on this, where it's either the transition from the older way of living, the older folk way of living, to technology.
Yeah.
But it could also be viewed as technology and tradition being able to live together, in harmony. Because both of those viewings are, I think, correct, honestly. Because at the end of this movie, we see or throughout the whole movie, we see Kiki is able to live with her traditions that she was raised up with in a continually technological world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people whenever she first shows up there at the city, it's so funny because people are oh, they just look up and they just start pointing at her, and I mean they aren't scared that there's someone flying around. It's not common, because that's what the guy on the clock tower says. He's we haven't had a witch here in 60 years or something. This is my great granddad.
Yeah.
And then
they look up and then they just go on with their day.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she asked him
I do kind of like that dynamic where it's like they're not impressed by the witch, but it's not because it's almost they're not impressed by the witch when you think, but they're still living a normal city life.
Yeah.
When you think, if it's a normal realistic city world, if they saw a girl flying, everyone would be freaking out. Kind of thing. Where it's like it's actually the exact opposite. It's almost like I'm saying that childlike wonder. She uses the word magic, you know, obviously, which I kind of like about this movie, where that word magic or how it is used in the movie could mean a lot of different things for you based on know how you define that.
I think that's what Miyazaki was going for too, because I think in an interview after this movie, he actually did say that he wanted her to be like magical and talk about stuff like that because girls dream, like at least his view, like girls, the only way they could accomplish their dreams in the past was by having magic, you know, like that was the only thing that would let them be like outside the system, basically outside the patriarchal system, or something like that. Like that's kind of what he was kind of getting at with that. But...
And that's probably why they were accused. A lot of them were accused of witches in the past.
Yeah, for sure. Too. Yeah, just any independent woman that guy didn't like, she was a witch.
They could be at any time.
Yeah. But I also really like that, like whenever she first shows up in the city, it's actually a very, very silent movie scene where she like lands and does something weird, and the cop comes after her and like stops her and like just grabs onto her and says, "You're coming with me," and then someone else like they're like, "Oh, a thief!" And he's like, "You stay right there," and then he runs off, and then she just like looks around the corner and just like runs off the other way, basically. And I was like, "Oh, this is like literally something the Tramp would do." Like, it's probably just because we watched Chaplin last time, but that just made me think of it. So
honestly, a great, interesting. I like the introduction of the boy character as well. I don't know his name. Like,
we should get started. We should just start from the beginning. If we're going to talk about the movie.
Yeah, we can start.
Because I do want to mention at least what I liked, at least because really from the opening scenes, is how much the movie just jumps into the movie.
Yeah.
You know, like doesn't waste any time. Like normally you'd get a lot of explanation of what a witch is and why she's leaving at 13 and why it's a big deal.
You'd have like a 3 minutes.
The parents would be crying and everything. The dad would be like, "Oh no, we're going camping. We have to do this." And there'd be a whole scene about that. And it just
break down crying.
Yeah, it's like she's 13. She's like, "I'm going." Yeah. And the dad's still like, "Okay."
Literally opens with the weather forecast being good
all of it's like shocking, but it's treated normally.
I love that. I love that scene because like she's just going like, "Mom, I'm leaving tonight." And their mom like blows up the vial she has.
She's so shocked. She's like, waiting for an explanation. Like, how is this all? What is this? Like, why is she just leaving at 13? Just one day. And her dad says, you would think normally a dad would be like, "No, you're not going. We're going camping," that kind of thing. Yeah. And she's like, "No, it's her decision almost."
It's her decision, and it's like it's tradition. First off, like they were planning. They were planning for her to go the month later. They said a month later, yeah. But she also said like, "We don't know if a month later this guys are gonna be like this. So like, I'll just leave now.
Go now.
I'll just take the chance or take the plunge now instead of waiting another month." So it definitely did shock. I love the dad's reaction to that too, because he is like, "What about us camping?" And then he like trips over everything running inside. Such a dork. No, but. And then we get introduced to Gigi also. Gigi's a great character.
Well, because he kind of becomes kind of important in terms of also representing that magic.
That's a Miyazaki talking animal for you.
Yep. Yeah.
We were talking about that before the podcast. We completely forgot about Gigi's.
Also, he's cute as hell.
He definitely is cute. They actually changed. I think that was one thing that they changed in the Disney version. Like I think Gigi looks a little. I haven't watched the dub. But I think that, like, what I was reading online, they changed how Gigi looked, and he was, like, more, like, sarcastic and cynical instead of, like, how he is in this movie.
That could work, I think.
I think it could work, but they did change that back with the re-release.
He's got his moments in this one, too.
Oh, he has his moments, for sure.
When he falls in love with the other cat.
That one's just nice, but, like, when he says something like, "Witches don't get any respect," or something like that, that was funny, too.
Yeah, no, he has a lot of great lines. But I love just the opening of her flying away, and then she's going like, "Gigi, turn the radio on." Like that. I don't know. Like I feel like that's an '80s thing where like they would have someone just turn on a radio, and that would start the credits. The credits roll.
But it kind of works.
Honestly. It definitely works.
It definitely works. Until that, the witch from another city or another town, tells her to turn it off, and she's all pompous and everything.
Oh yeah. And then she's like, she gives her like kind of a backhand compliment, and then like Kiki, whenever she's like, "Oh, is that your city?" And the girl's like, "Yeah, that's my city." She's like, "Oh, it's uninteresting, but it looks kind of nice." And she was like, basically just giving back to her kind of. I don't know. No, but then we go into the actual city that she's going to come into, and that's what you'll hear at the beginning of this podcast is that the amazing score. Was it called By the Ocean or something, or City by the Ocean?
A town with an ocean view.
A town with an ocean view. and that just kind of sets the tone for honestly the whole movie. You know, kind of that nothing too terrible is going to happen. You know, it's going to just be a slice of life kind of movie. At least that's the feeling it gives you.
I was about to say coming of age movie, but it's sort of a coming of age movie, but like not in the traditional sense. I don't think.
It's a coming of age movie for sure.
Yeah, I feel like most of the coming of age happens in the beginning of the movie, but like as it goes along, it doesn't really feel too much like a coming of age movie. But anyway, I mean,
but
it doesn't matter.
It's a maturity movie, you know? Or like a movie about maturity or maturing. But
I guess it kind of depends on how you take it, because in one sense she is kind of just an adult, like right off the bat.
Yes.
But she is coming of age too, like that's how I see it anyway, because she is kind of learning what the real world is like. She's having to relate her magic to what in a real world environment kind of thing. You know,
she has to figure out what her skill is.
Yeah,
you know,
what it
like
looks
that's
like
literally
in the real
something
world.
they have. That's literally something they say is like you have to find your skill, and that's what you'll be good at. Like her mom's good at potion making,
and she kind of just like hides it from us until she randomly tells the bakery woman like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna start a flying service or whatever." She never tells. We never know before.
She kind of just thinks it on the fly. I feel like.
I think she does. Yeah, I don't think she has a plan at all.
Okay.
Like she doesn't know what she's good at. Like I think that's one. Like on the way over to the city that she's going to, she's like, "What am I even good at? Like what's my one skill or something like?" Like she's having those thoughts on the way there, and then like I think she says at one point like the only thing I'm good at is flying.
Okay.
Because that's why she's starting to get worried when she's starting to lose her powers. Because she does even say something like. That's basically all I can do is fly. What else am I going to do?
Yeah, that might be what I was thinking. That seemed like what I was thinking.
I mean, that probably represents like burnout. I think that's kind of how I interpret that.
It's
really just burnout. Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be something that we'll be talking about the next every Miyazaki movie. But this is the first movie that he said he was going to retire after. So yeah, he wasn't even going to originally direct this one. It was going to be a different.
I thought Mononoke was the one he first retired.
No, he said he was going to retire after this one, and then he didn't, obviously. But he made Porco Rosso 3 years later. But he wasn't even going to direct this one. It was going to be like have you guys seen in this corner of the world?
No.
Well, that director was going to direct this movie, and then Miyazaki didn't like the way he was taking it, really. So
of course.
He was too involved anyway. So like, I mean, it was going to happen anyway.
Was he producing it or something? So,
yeah, he was a producer.
Yeah.
But I really like the city itself, because this is like the thing that I was talking about, I think, during our Nausicaa episode, where they were the first animation studio that like actually went to like scout locations, and like they used this, like the city is from basically Sweden, like from their sketches they did in Sweden and Germany. Like I think this, like, he saw a city by the sea in Sweden. I think that's just what this city's kind of based on. Is kind of the sketches they did there.
Honestly, any seaside town is just a cheat code visually, because like no matter what, it's gonna look amazing.
Sure.
Like
no, but it really does. Like what you were saying about the production, behind this one, how they had their first own staff and everything.
Yeah,
I honestly feel like you can tell a little bit, because it is. At least from what we've seen so far, at least I think it's their best looking movie.
It definitely is.
At least certain shots and everything.
Is.
You know, with the ocean and her flying and everything. The flying looks amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's just a bigger scale, I feel like, than all his other movies.
Nausicaa's a huge scale. I mean, Castle in the Sky is bigger scale than this one, I think, too.
Because the stories, this one still feels way more low key than the stories in those, which is.
I think the city itself might be bigger scale, is what you're talking about. But I mean, like Castle in the Sky literally has a castle in the sky, so like that.
Yeah, I guess so. It's kind of hard though to compare them, because like they're almost different worlds, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like
they're
from what I think. But like, yeah, this one is like she's basically in normal human life, pretty much.
Oh yeah, she definitely is.
She's the only like outlier, while the other ones, you know. There's outliers.
And she's not even really an outlier, because one of my favorite things about this movie is the women in this movie. Like, Kiki's great, but then, like, we have Asano, the baker. Okay. And then we have, like, Ursula, the painter in the woods, you know, who herself is kind of like a witch character. She's a witchy character. She's not a witch, but she's, like, definitely, like, more witchy. But, like, those two characters are amazing, because they are... Like, every guy and girl needs a mentor in life, you know? Like, we all need mentors in life to teach us the way of the world, especially whenever we're as young as Kiki. And she has two great mentors that she just finds. I mean, she luckily finds them, because she was having a bad day whenever she first showed up in the city. Like, she wasn't wanting to stay there at all. Yeah. Like, she told Gigi, like, should we just leave? And Gigi, that's one thing that Gigi always says. He's like, are you ready to go yet? And then she's like, no, I think we'll stay here a little longer after she meets Asano.
Yeah. But you saying that kind of, like, it made me think of... Because that's how she talks about it even at the beginning. Like, that's at least part of the way the tradition is how I interpret it, you know, why they all do this. Because, you know how she talks about, I have to go find my training.
Yes.
That's basically what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of random, but like, those are her
Yeah, you literally just go out, find a town, and then do stuff.
She gets kind of lucky, like she gets a room right away, but still.
Yeah.
That's part of the magic.
Yeah, she gets awakened to the rude world right away with all the rude people,
well,
and then she meets Asano, and that's the one she's like, oh, so there are decent people in the big city too.
She realizes that too, at least early on.
Yeah. Like that's what made her stay. Like if she didn't meet her, she probably would have been gone. That's true. Because she was literally saying that beforehand. And then that's kind of where the delivery service comes in. Is the baby forgot the pacifier.
And the first delivery, I think, is probably my favorite scene in the movie. It's part of the movie.
So explain.
Because it's just hilarious. The fact, there's the fact that she loses the doll, the toy that she's delivering.
Oh, you're not talking about the pacifier then?
No, that's not. I don't consider that the first delivery.
That's the first delivery.
Okay, I mean, of the official business.
Okay, yeah.
That scene.
So when she loses the doll and she has to go get it fixed,
kind of thing? Well, yeah, and then she gets Gigi to actually act like the doll. It's hilarious.
No, yeah, she loses the doll, and I love just the crows all attacking her because Gigi's translating for the crows, and she's so they fly off, and then she comes back because she realizes that they lost the cat, and then the crows come back out, and Gigi's like, oh, they're saying the egg thief's coming back, and so she just flies off again because she knows that she won't be able to get it. But yeah, that does definitely lead up to some of the funnier moments with the dog and Gigi.
Yeah.
And then Gigi, and then just realizing the dog is a friend.
Yeah, it's just the fact. Yeah, the fact that was oh yeah, he helped me plan this.
He's this is my friend. It's he helped me escape.
And just the scenes of Gigi acting like the toy while the boy is carrying him around is just hilarious.
Yes.
He's bouncing everywhere.
No, those are great scenes for sure.
And that's how she meets the painter too.
Yes, that is how she meets the painters after that. Yeah. She has to go look for Gigi.
Honestly, I really love both those other characters you mentioned, the baker and the painter, because the painter has one of my favorite favorite lines of dialogue where Kiki's telling her how she's kind of losing inspiration. Basically, she can't fly anymore, and she's telling her I lose inspiration when I paint, and it's basically the same thing. Flying. She literally says something like, flying, painting, and baking are all the same thing. They have the same kind of spirit.
Yeah, and it's she basically said if you can't fly, just take a walk. Taking a long walk.
Something else.
Do something else, and eventually your confidence basically will come back in the thing that you're actually good at. And I really love Ursula in general because that is kind of the even with Asano, Kiki is that's also one of Kiki's mentors, but Ursula is the one that she actually tells her actual worries and fears to. She doesn't confess that to Asano or her husband. She confesses that to Ursula because that's who she actually feels connected to.
Also,
they are
Ursula's
kind of kindred spirits.
Yeah, Ursula's literally lives by herself. She's not a part of society.
She's older compared to Kiki, but she's not that much. She's not older compared to an adult world, really.
Yeah. No, she's probably mid-20s or something. Yeah. No, she just threw away city living and likes living in the woods, basically.
Honestly, yeah, I don't blame her.
No, I don't blame her.
And she just
that's a very very thematic thing for this episode this week is throwing away the city and going to the country.
Because I like that little touch of how the crows like her too.
Yes, yeah. Because whenever Kiki first walks up there, Kiki first walks up there, she gets scared because the crows roll up there too.
But they're all letting her paint them.
Yeah. She's like, oh, stay right there. You're almost done.
No, but we should talk about the baker too, because she is a nice character.
No, yes, and see, I love how she's just a pregnant woman. And nothing ever comes of it. I
forgot she's pregnant.
No, nothing ever comes of it. Because lesser directors or just lesser filmmakers in general, or just if you see a pregnant woman in a fucking movie, it's okay, they're going to use this to build tension later on in the movie because they're going to something's going to happen.
I hate scenes with childbirth. I can't watch it.
And that's the great thing about this because it's they don't do anything with her. She's just pregnant. She's just, it makes the world feel real, because obviously there are going to be pregnant women in the world that you're going to meet, and she just happened to meet one that was heavily pregnant.
It says a lot that I forgot she was pregnant.
Exactly. I forgot she was pregnant whenever I watched this too. Whenever I was rewatching, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot she was pregnant.
And you saying that kind of just again, I mentioned it earlier. This whole idea of when they film the movie, the way they film it, it is you're just dropping in on their world already.
Yeah.
Because a lot of movies, especially a kid's movie, they would have to handhold to the audience, right? Where they would have to explain, why she's pregnant. They would talk a lot about that. But in a real world, you wouldn't be that surprised if you saw a pregnant woman. Really,
no, you wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, especially
you're just she's pregnant.
Especially if you're a 13-year-old kid and she's obviously worried about her own problems.
Yeah.
And it's her movie kind of, so that's what I like. It doesn't. it actually treats kids that are watching this movie as intelligent. Like, oh, they'll get what's happening. They don't have to explain every little detail that's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So do you want to talk about? So you said that you liked how the boy character was introduced. You want to elaborate?
Oh, yeah. That was early in the movie. Yeah.
No, yeah. We haven't talked about the boy at all, and he's a huge part of this movie. So
he definitely is. Honestly, I don't like him at first, but then he kind of comes around, which is honestly the same way that happens with Kiki as well.
Just like her,
yeah. Like
he's like, I thought you were a clown at first.
Exactly. I thought you were a clown.
He was acting.
Oh, that's what this
he definitely
translation
was.
is. I don't know what. Maybe he does actually.
I mean, they approved all the translations, so that's basically probably what they were getting at. But
well, yeah.
Okay.
Like me and Studio Ghibli went through all the translations and made sure to approve it before they released it. But
well, yeah, I liked it because you hear the thief and the police officer runs up and she slips away, and then all of a sudden he pops out of nowhere. It's like, I was the one who called thief.
I was the one who called
What's
thief.
up?
Yeah. It's like I saved you.
Did we see him at any capacity before that?
You saw him on the bike because he was just on his bike looking up at it, with everyone else looking at the bush flying by, and then that's whenever I think they lingered on him because he showed interest in her and went off. To follow her and stuff like that.
He was acting he was definitely acting a bit douchey at first, but then I think.
But this is why
you kind of make a turn on him when he invites her to the party, and then not that's but when he's waiting in the rain for her. Yeah. That's when that's kind of when I turned on. Like okay, maybe he's actually a good character.
Good guy. He's a good guy.
But okay, this is why I kind of like him though, because I think one of you just mentioned that scene where he is looking up when he first sees her. Because there's only a few characters in the city that actually are like, at least they're like shocked in a good way of seeing her fly. It's the baker, the
baker, the old man, the clock tower.
Yes, and then her, and then him.
Yeah.
And like because there are other kids watching too, and they don't really care, but he's the one that's all. So I knew I kind of liked him right away, at least from that point. I could tell at least he's one of the people that believes, in
that world,
in witches still, kind of thing.
No, and it also goes to show how he always has his eyes pointed towards the clouds and not his homework like his mom wants him.
Yes, exactly. The whole flying.
Yeah, the whole aviation club.
Miyazaki can never get let go.
No, and that's also a funny part whenever he takes her out on his bike for the first time with the propeller and everything. It's a sweet moment for sure. It's a really sweet moment because that's also whenever that's after her delivery to the asshole granddaughter that doesn't like her grandma's baking.
Wait, that's when she loses her magic. She's starting to lose her magic.
It was after this next. It was I think it was maybe happening, but I don't know. But it was whenever they crashed, they met his friends for the first time, and I think this is also what made her not like him again, is because she realized that he was friends with people that were not real, like real as in they act fake,
I can see what you're saying. I don't know if I saw it like that.
Really? That's how I saw it. Because that's the granddaughter. That's the granddaughter that didn't.
Okay, yes, okay.
That
I see what you're
refused
saying,
or that accepted the cake, but was shit talking her grandma. So.
Because I honestly kind of saw it as she is kind of basically I keep saying the word magic, but you can use you could use the word mojo or whatever. At that point she had already lost. She realized she was starting to lose her powers.
Yeah.
And because that's literally the scene after that is when she goes home. She just lays on the bed all tired. And she's really sad about losing her magic, and that's why I kind of thought she didn't want to be seen in public because she even says something like that. She's like, I don't know why I don't want to be in public. I used to be able good at making friends, and I just don't want to be around anyone.
And that's when the cat is not even by her side.
And that's what I was going to mention.
Because he's too busy. Yeah.
Well, no, that's the first time she can't understand him talking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who. Yeah.
That's literally the scene where we literally reveal okay, this is actually happening. She's losing her magic. She can't
it's almost it's basically her losing her I should say magical view of the adult world. I feel too in that moment.
Yeah.
But dude, I don't even know if it's about her view because at least her view doesn't change. I feel it's literally kind of to represent the world beating down on her.
She's just losing confidence. That's what it is.
Based on how the world is treating her. She's
because she says in the movie magic comes from your spirit and she was just her confidence had been beaten down so much by that point that she was just it
was not what she was expecting from this world, obviously.
Yeah, and that's something that actually almost got the movie shut down was because that doesn't happen in the novel this is based on, and so it almost got shut down whenever they showed the author of the novel the movie. She didn't want it to be produced. And so they invited her to Studio Ghibli and talked to her and stuff for a day, and then it ended up being fine.
Okay.
But they she just that never happened in the book. Her crisis of confidence and losing her powers never happened. Like I think the one thing that happened that was like her broom broke, but she didn't lose her powers or anything.
Okay, this is way better. I feel
But yes,
like.
no, this is and it just makes the movie so much better. It gives it weight. That's probably what I was looking for. Yeah, it just makes the movie better. It does. Like giving someone, especially like someone this old, a crisis of confidence is very relatable. Like Luke said, like Kiki is a very relatable character because every kid goes through a crisis of confidence, especially whenever they enter freaking like their teenage years. You know, like that's one of the worst times for kids. Is like whenever they're teenagers, they all have crises of confidence during that age, and that's one reason why this movie obviously resonated with so many people and so many young women too.
But I love the way it happens too. Like I feel like in a movie like this. That was marketed towards kids, it would happen where there would be like some supervillain that wants her magical powers, to use it or something. She's like having to live in the real world, but having to dodge this, magical villain. But like the way it happens, it's like there's no real villain.
Yeah, or it happens
just the like super villain in this movie.
It's the urban environment basically that she's not used to.
Or it would happen like when she like in the middle of a delivery and like she was gonna be like late and there's like tension and stuff. Like
it's like.
But it's just like when she wakes up, isn't she? Or like when she's at home, like. Is that when that happens? She's in her room, isn't she, when she realizes that?
Yes. And everything.
Yeah. It's not like when she's in like in the outside world.
No,
This is kind of off topic, but it's related to when she first realizes she can't understand the cat. Do you think it's because it's because I don't even think she's able to understand the cat after this.
No, you're not. She's not.
I kind of like too. I wanted to talk about that.
Yes, well, I was going to bring that up too.
The movie ends like that.
Yeah.
And I really like that. But do you think it's because the cat has another priority now, basically? Because because they have kittens. They
do have kittens
and everything. Like that's basically his life now.
And all the white kids get to stay home, but the black cat gets to go with them. The black kid gets to go with them.
But you know what I mean. Like the whole time the cat's with her, and at that moment it's basically like they're a couple now. He has not a new life, but you see what I'm saying. Like
So Miyazaki actually brought that up after the movie came out, also because I think it was after actually I think the Disney release came out because Disney changed. That's something they changed also. Was at the very end they had a line of the Gigi talking to her, and then she talked back to him, implying that she could understand him again. And the Japanese version that doesn't happen. Obviously, she doesn't ever he doesn't ever talk to her again. You don't know if she can still talk to him or not. It implies that she can't.
Yes, it does.
But Miyazaki said that Gigi is like the immature side of Kiki, and so like the end of the movie is kind of implying that she's like matured past the need to talk to her cat.
Okay. Yeah, like a kid. I mean, it could represent a kid not believing in imaginary friends anymore or something like that. A lot of examples of kids.
That actually is a good example because
that's how I thought of it. But I also thought it from the cat's side too, because he is kind of his own character.
I mean, she's the only one who can understand the cat, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
even though there are certain other characters that wink at him. To kind of imply that they know what he's doing, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, they definitely know what he's doing. Well, because like
who was that?
It was the baker, the baker's husband.
Yeah.
Because he's making bread, and Gigi's just looking at him like this, and he just looks at him, gives him a wink real quick, and Gigi's fur goes like all stands on ends and stuff. It was a really cute scene. I really like the baker's husband. He's really sweet too.
Yeah, just like not bothering, not that.
Yeah, not doing anything. He's just the
perfect
husband.
Just vibes, making
mean mugging, but he has a huge heart underneath. He's always worried about Kiki. He's always the one looking out at night whenever Kiki's not back home yet. So
yeah, that's a good point.
He's gonna make a great father for that kid that's in her neck.
Dude just wants to make bread and chili. Sounds like a great life.
I mean, honestly, it makes bread, children, and chili. No.
I don't know if we're getting to the end, but I will mention. I'll kind of mention with at least my one not complaint, but maybe what I didn't like as much is the ending feels kind of rushed. Just the way it happens, the way it's introduced.
I can see why you think that.
And then it just ends. You're expecting a closing scene, it's going to be all nice and everything, but it just kind of ends with the microphones in her face.
Yeah.
With all the TV. And then it is a great moment where she talks to the cat, and the cat just meows. Yeah. And there's a second of her face where she looks disappointed, but then she smiles again. She's like, okay, I'm okay with this still. Which, that actually makes sense with the maturing part, where she's like, she even realized that, But I just, I wish there was more.
No, it definitely feels a little rushed because we go immediately from her crisis of confidence and her talking to Ursula and Asano and all them too. And the grandma too. She's talking to grandma. Yeah.
I wanted to mention that because when we mentioned the maker originally, that's who I was talking about.
Oh, the grandma. You were talking about Asano. Okay.
Yeah, but both of them are bakers.
Yes,
which is nice too because she's still baking for. and she's the one that she brings her back because she bakes her a cake too.
Yeah,
which is nice. But yeah, so like, both bakers, but because yeah, she literally is talking to that grandma in that scene.
Yeah.
And when she gets the cake, and then they all see on TV about what is that thing called? That huge
it's
machine?
a Zeppelin, but
a Zeppelin.
I mean that's what it's called in real life. But I don't know what it's
we'll
called.
Just call it a Zeppelin.
Yeah, it's a Zeppelin, or an airship or something. It's probably an airship
like
in the movie. But
I don't remember because the translation we watched it started with a D.
Really?
Whatever they called the machine, I don't even remember exactly what they called it.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called either. But it's a Zeppelin. So
yeah. Yeah, because it kind of just goes into that scene like an action scene almost. It's like the most action-packed scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And then it ends like that. So I'm kind of thinking like they must have just not had enough time or something. I don't know. Like it almost feels out of place in the movie.
It feels a little rushed for sure. I don't know. Maybe Miyazaki was just having trouble ending the story because like it is a very episodic novel. You know, like it's a very slice of life movie where it's not like it's not like the whole movie doesn't even have a plot. Really, it's just about her living. So like I feel like it is hard to end a movie like that for sure. But we'll talk about it only yesterday because I think Takahata did amazingly. But I do think it's very hard, especially in a magical world like this one, where it's kind of is hard to end a movie like this. But it definitely does feel a little rushed because you just see the wind blow the freaking Zeppelin up in the air, and then it takes like 5 to 10 minutes.
It is a nice moment where she's floating on down with the broom. You know? She figures out she can fly again.
Barely. I mean, it's she's able to fly again, but it's like she's not great at it still. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but you guys want to end there with that one because I really like that ending. Obviously, her saving. I wish that we could remember the boy's name, but I can't remember his freaking name right now. I'm just calling him Potsu in my head, but it's not Potsu because that's Castle in the Sky.
I remember what he looks like. That's what's important.
Oh yeah.
No, because I love the credits scroll in this. Because I love the end credits scene too, where her parents figure out that she's all good and stuff like that. But I just love the credits scroll in general because we see his completed bicycle play and everything. We see her flying along with him. It's just a very sweet ending. Ghibli knows how to make people sit through the credits. I'll just say that. So,
honestly, this is just a movie I feel like I can just revisit when I'm feeling down. You know.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good movie for if you're feeling down.
Yeah.
But I guess we can just transition right into Only Yesterday.
Another good movie for that
Another amazing movie for that too. This is honestly to me, this is a top 5 Ghibli movie. So this is one of my favorites. It's Takahata's second movie for Ghibli, and this one also is just it's classic Takahata, where he just uses all of the money Ghibli made from Kiki just to make the movie he wanted to make. Just this weird ass movie
being
about
selfish.
basically just taking his sweet time being selfish because this one took 2 years to make. After Kiki, and he used a lot of the money from Kiki, but this one was also a huge hit in Japan, which is very surprising because it's the first time. I honestly don't know if this is the actual first time, but this is at least one of the first times this subject matter has been tackled in an animated movie. An animated movie specifically for adults, not even for kids at all. That's a bold move, and I know that Miyazaki gave Takahata the idea for this because he had read a manga in the mid '80s, and he had just kept it on the back burner, going this could be a really great movie. And it's the manga is about the 10-year-old Taiko that we see in this movie.
So he flipped it kind of.
Yeah, so Takahata, so he eventually brought it to Takahata and said, "I think this would make a really great movie, but I don't think I can make it." So he gave it to Takahata, and Takahata said afterwards, he was like, "Yeah, Miyazaki couldn't have made it either," but he gave it to Takahata, and Takahata did something very interesting where he did this dual stories, of one 10-year-old, one 27-year-old, and just flipping back and forth, flashbacks and stuff like that. But he did in an amazing way because the flashbacks transitions are kind of insane sometimes because there will be a scene where she's talking on the phone to her siblings, and then it'll just transition straight to her at the dinner table with her talking to her siblings as a 10-year-old. There are just so many great ways to do transitions for this, and he's the one that actually wrote and made the 27-year-old Taiko. That wasn't in the manga really. He made that. That's how he created this movie. It was and that's one of the reasons why the facial. This is what I want to talk about. This is one of the reasons why the facial animation was so different for this movie, at least in the adult Taiko scenes, because in the young Taiko scenes they did the normal animation style where they animated first and then record voices after and just lip synced. Okay. But with the adult version, they record the voices first and animated to match the voices. So that's why
to look more realistic.
To look more realistic. So like the mouth movements and those wrinkles that you guys were talking about, that's just him animating.
Yeah. Because once you have what the voices, you can match the wrinkles.
Yes. So like that's why that looks so interesting. And like that's one of the first times that was done too. Like people didn't really do that. And that like honestly one of the only reasons this was able to happen is because Takahata is not an animator. He's like he came from a literary background. You know, he's a director. He's not. He's very experimental. He's more experimental in his movies.
Yes, with the like editing and stuff.
Yes.
And he less cares about. Even though there's some great animated moments in this, but like you said, he's willing to make a more straightforward adult drama movie because he doesn't care as much about just what most classic animation fans are getting into animation for.
Yes, he doesn't care about the children.
Which is obviously a good reason to watch animation.
He's like, fuck them kids.
Are you saying like do you think he's like not using...
He doesn't care about the style as much.
Like he's not using it as an escape, basically.
Well, I think
to a different world.
I specifically think this movie itself is a fantastic animated style because first off, the memory, like the title in Japanese is literally like memories raindrops. Like I told you guys earlier, like this is all a movie about memories. And I love the way he films 10-year-old Taiko because it's completely different from how adult Taiko's filmed. Adult Taiko, everything in the frame is completely vivid, all drawn out and everything. And if you watch 10-year-old Taiko, it's not like that. The edges are very dull and faded. It's a lot brighter. It's almost like he's wanting to center your attention on the one thing she's doing at that moment because that's how we remember things. Yep. We don't remember our environment really around us. Yep. We remember the one thing we're looking at. Yep. And that's why I really love this animation style because like that's one thing that I think Takahata just himself can do because he's not an animator, like I said. Like, he just doesn't care about that as much. He's willing to experiment with this stuff, and it looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, that's one of the reasons why I think the winter scenes are filmed so well in her flashbacks, because he makes just winter feel right, almost, with that faded...
when you think
feels so bright.
When you think of a snow
bright.
day in your past.
Yeah, it's so bright.
It has that feeling to it, you know?
Yeah. It's so bright outside, you know, that all in the flashbacks is always so bright because the outlines are just so like white and faded, you know, like I don't know, I just really love that because it really he captures memories really well, honestly, in those scenes, I think.
And just to bounce off that, in terms of memories, what I really love about this movie is the memories on purpose don't have any and she even kind of mentions this in the movie where they don't have any logical purpose to why she's remembering certain moments.
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of just like how we remember
it's
random moments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They feel random, but to her they can mean something after she remembers them. You know, then you think about, when you reflect on it, then you might think of something. 'Cause she even has that great quote where she says something like, a caterpillar has to become a chrysalis before it becomes a butterfly, even if the caterpillar doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
It still has to learn how to become a chrysalis, and she says something like, maybe I have to learn to become a chrysalis again, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally how she sees her memories, you know?
Yeah,
I love that.
sure.
Like, especially when for her, she says something like, as she's going through all the, the nature environment, we'll talk about, or the country, whatever word you want to call for it. She says she kind of views that place as having a nostalgic feeling for her, even though she's never been there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how, even when you're in a very beautiful a place of nature, you kind of do get nostalgic, even if, you've never been to the place, because it, there's something about that. I don't know how to explain it really.
It's just a feeling I think all living creatures have, honestly, of just being in nature, because that's what we came from.
Especially if you're not used to it. Especially
if you live in an urban environment, like she does in this movie, for sure.
Yeah. It's honestly crazy, if someone tried to explain this movie to you, it would sound not as good as it is.
No, it
just kind of
and that's one reason why I think people think this is a mid-Ghibli, and it's not. Like, you just need to watch this movie because it's insane. Yeah. It's a great movie about, and this is why I wanted to say it's kind of similar to Grave of the Fireflies, because it's kind of like he tackles kind of similar themes, and then he doesn't like his characters to fight back against their situation. His characters always accept their situation as it is and works around it like that. Like, they accept their situation and they work to get better with that situation. Like, they don't fight back against it like you do, like you see in normal animated movies, or even like a Miyazaki movie like Castle in the Sky. Like, they're fighting against the system. Like, his is all about accepting your situation and realizing you can change it differently. Like, you don't have to fight back. You can accept it and also get better.
Change your view on it.
Yes,
you know,
and that's why this entire movie is her changing views on city life to urban life or to
well, we have to
life,
talk about the ending. Too.
Oh, we'll definitely
just the
talk
open-endedness of it.
Yes. Wait, which part?
Well, I'm talking about the very ending.
Okay.
Well, yeah. What decision do you think she's gonna make, basically?
Yeah,
but I don't know if you want to
jumped
get
to
to
that already.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll wait.
Yeah, no, we gotta get to the Hungarian music first. I mean, goddamn.
No, it's crazy. I don't know if you guys have seen any of. Have you guys seen Kiarostami before?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen his car scenes? In
yeah.
Like,
oh my god.
This movie reminded me a lot of Kiarostami's car scenes. You know, just the wide shots of him driving through nature, through the hills, while people are just talking in the car still.
Yeah.
It's honestly insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any connection there, but
it's just the fact that they can just they both can just they won't even they'll just like Kiarostami especially. They'll just keep the camera. They won't even show a bunch of the background or anything. They'll just show the people in the car, and it still works. You're still engaged with it.
Some of the best conversation in Kiarostami, this was and Takahata must have thought this because there's a lot of the best conversations in the movie happen while they're in the car talking, just driving through nature.
It's whenever Takahata likes to lecture to the audience.
Yep, that's true. But even we learned about both of them.
No, yeah, for sure.
She has one of her best kind of. It's not even a memory. It's more of a. Her kind of imagining what the future could look like with him.
Yeah.
Remember, and she imagines them on a horse car being carried on the hay bales kind of thing.
No, yes, that gave me big time Woman in Paris vibes for some reason, just because of the ending. Not related at all. But yes, no, I do remember that scene. That's a great scene because that's also the scene where she's talking about how she feels connected to the country life. And how, I love that scene, but I love even more later on in the movie where she's like, that was so naive of me to say how I, would love to live this life whenever I only live it for vacation. I'm able to go back, you know?
Yes.
Because that is how people think, you know? I've thought about that sometimes. I've thought, I wouldn't mind being a farmer some days, you know? But then,
we ignore how hard it would be.
Yes, we ignore how hard it is to be a farmer. And that's one thing that Takahata loves to show in this movie is, the life of a farmer is not easy, but it's very rewarding, you know? And I think that's what Toshio says a lot in this movie. So,
and that's kind of what I like about her kind of not hesitancy, but she has to think about it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, the grandma just pulls the question about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that seems amazing.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Because you're I feel like you're thinking of it, but you're
you're definitely.
She just kind of puts in words all of a sudden, to you and to the people also in other people in the scene, just blurting out what we're all thinking. Yes. No one wants to say it.
So, okay, is there any other... Because we kind of... It's hard to talk about this movie because the ending does kind of
It's just hard to talk about this movie because
Yeah, on paper it shouldn't work.
On paper it definitely shouldn't work, and he just makes it work because he does... Because of the adult version of her that he added onto the story. Because it would have been an okay movie if it was just about 10-year-old Taiko, but
it would have been a basic... I feel like 10-year-old Taiko, if it was just that story, that's basically a ton of anime. You can
find that is a ton of anime
out there. Yes, that's what distinguishes it basically.
Yes, and I love her flashbacks. I love her flashbacks to 10-year-old Taiko because it shows that her life was not a bad life, but she definitely did have family troubles and stuff. But she doesn't blame anyone. She's not hateful or resentful to anyone or in her life now. You know, she's very understanding. That's another thing where it's just that feeling of just with the Grave of the Fireflies, where it's just kind of accepting your situation, you know, you don't have to hold on to the past and be really mad at it, you know, it happened and you can just accept that it happened and kind of just move on and get stronger that way, and that's kind of what she does in this movie.
No, that's what I love about it. She has a certain kind of, just how the movie itself feels very open to what she's basically what she's seeing. She has that same kind of openness, you know, she's learning from the people there, you know. I feel like
she has peace. She has inner peace, you know. It's all about finding peace with yourself, and that's what she's done throughout this whole movie. I feel like those 10-year-old memories are her just kind of figuring that out, you know, finding that inner peace in herself.
And that's why and you guys just kind of mentioned it on paper shouldn't work. To me, the reason why it works is the memories don't even have a logical reason. You know, that's why it feels so realistic. You know, a lot of movies where if they're looking on their past, every memory would kind of make sense. Oh, they're learning this memory, they're learning this from this memory, or they're learning that from that memory. You know, and that's why it helps them in some scene they're about to have. But because my favorite moment of that is her having that kind of longish memory of her being in a play. You know, and then her dad rejects, basically doesn't let her be in the play and everything, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't lead anywhere, but Not everything leads anywhere.
Yeah.
But you still remember it though.
That scene also is one of the better scenes of showing like this world is another one that just feels lived in, because like she's watching during those scenes a puppet show on TV, that's an actual puppet show that was on like 60 Japan, like that Takahata would have been watching at that time probably, but like it's just the world just feels like lived in,
It definitely does.
and I like it's such
especially with the older sisters too, like they have their own little worlds going on. They don't care about her like for the most part.
It's so mean too. It definitely gets sibling rivalry and meanness for sure.
Because I like that one moment of with the whole purse thing where they're like because the middle sister doesn't want to give it away because for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah.
And the older sister's like, it's for babies, just give it away.
It's for
babies. And then the
just
second she says that, like, is when the younger one realizes, like, okay, she doesn't want it anymore, basically.
But she still really wants it.
Yeah.
It always fascinates. Like, I was thinking about while I was watching this, like, these movies where it's about a person reflecting on their past. It's interesting to think about just the movies that fit in that genre and how this one compares to them. Like, specifically, I was thinking of, like, Mirror and The Tree of Life. The Tree of Life, Sean Penn's character is reflecting, but he's lost in the world. While she feels more comfortable, I feel like, in her current situation.
Yes.
It's always interesting to think about this type of genre and how different directors tackle it,
Yeah. I honestly think this is one of the better ones in the genre.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Well, I mean, to me, like, one of the best things about films is memory. Or, like, like, the way you can show a memory, a flashback, a flash forward, a dream, how these can all just become the same things in a film, basically.
Yeah.
If you film them, or like how Blake was saying, if you have very distinct styles, and that's another reason why I think it works is like how you were mentioning it. I'm really excited to rewatch it because I want to pay attention to that.
So
more.
Yes, because like if you watch it again, you'll realize what I'm talking about. Because like the facial animations make the adult version feel realer. Like she's living in reality in the adult version, like that's her reality. And like in the kid version, like the facial animations are more like anime. Like that's more just like typical anime where it's just like it just is another layer add on, like the animation style along with the facial expressions, like it's just layers upon layers in this movie that make the memories just really stand out and make the present really stand out as a result too, like the reality of the present. Like we wouldn't that one sunset with the baseball with the pitcher standing with the sun background with like the scene is kind of like really white and it's just her looking at him in the memory. Do you guys remember that scene? It's like it's like really white and then you just see the really orange sun behind him. It's like whenever it's after the baseball game.
Where they have a single conversation about sunny days or cloudy days.
Yes. That's also great. I love that. I love that conversation.
That's a good conversation.
Because he's just like the classic, let's talk about the weather with the pretty girl, let's break the ice. And then after that's one of the more beautiful scenes of her literally floating in the clouds.
Oh yes. Oh, that's a great moment, dude.
Yeah, but like it's just layers upon layers with this movie. And that is one thing. I guess before we completely end with this one, I do want to talk about the dub real quick. I haven't watched it, but from what I understand, is this dub is actually one of the better ones Ghibli and Disney have ever done together, because this dub didn't even come out till like 2016. This wasn't dubbed until 2016 because Ghibli didn't think it could be dubbed because the dialects from the country folk and and people from Tokyo are completely different, and they didn't think that they could get the nuances in a dub. And apparently Daisy Ridley does like a southern accent, and that's kind of what like I don't know. It's apparently it works pretty well because like at least from people that have seen both versions, like apparently it works pretty well. And like
it's honestly just crazy to think that Daisy Ridley voiced a Studio Ghibli movie. Like,
no,
that just doesn't make sense.
Honestly. And Dave Patel is the male.
Yeah.
The guy. No, it is weird.
Especially because it's 91, I guess too. I mean, that's just weird. Especially
because the dub came so much later.
Oh yeah, the dub came so much later.
They had to get on that Star Wars fame, sell some Blu-rays.
No, that was before Star Wars.
No, 2016 is after.
No, 2015.
It's literally Force Awakens is 2015.
15,
so
yeah.
They're building on that hype,
Yeah, they had Daisy Ridley in the bag,
Yeah, honestly though, Daisy Ridley's a good actress.
I like
I'm kind of curious because when we saw that pull up on the stream I watched, or not the stream, the download I watched on the titles, it showed the American cast. So I was like, Daisy Ridley, what?
Daisy Ridley.
Dave Patel, like, oh my gosh.
Am I watching the right version?
I'm curious.
No, I'm definitely gonna see the thing with Ghibli is like they actually do have good dubs because
compared
they
to
wouldn't.
most anyway.
Yes, compared to most because they wouldn't approve them if they weren't good. Like if they were at least decent, because they had.
You told us that
rights with
story
yeah.
about what, Nausicaa?
Yeah, Nausicaa had a terrible dub, and it was just a terrible like import, but like they just imported terribly. Yeah. So that was like the big reason why they had so much troubles. But that's the reason why their dubs are so good, is because Ghibli literally had to approve everything that went out after that because they were so anal about that after that. But I guess we can get to like the ending now, because I love the ending of this movie. It starts with the grandma, like Luke was talking about earlier, just dropping the fucking popping the question just to everyone, going like, "Why don't you just marry Toshio?"
Yeah.
And then like and what's so funny is like the dad and mom both go like, "This is like not appropriate to talk about right now. You're making her uncomfortable. She's our guest." And then like the mom like kneels down and starts going like she's along with the grandma after a while. She's like, "Yeah, this is a good idea." She sits down and like starts talking to her like, "Why don't you just marry Toshio?" And then the dad's just like looking at her like, "What are you guys doing? Like you're making her uncomfortable." And then she just runs out and goes on that walk. And I think during that walk is one of the better memory scenes where she's just shocked by a memory that she has, because it's the kid that comes. Or it's like that kid that never shook hands with her and stuff like that. And that was one of the memories that was the more shocking ones, because it literally just comes out of nowhere. Because I think he just walks out of the darkness towards her and stuff like that, and that's how the flashback starts. And I don't even know. And this is one of those ones where you don't know why the memory started, like why that conversation started in that memory or anything, but it did, and that's one of the better memory ones, or like one of the better memories.
But that's what I love. You don't have to know, and that's what I've been kind of saying. You know, there is no real reason why memory shows up. Yeah. But like once it does show up, you know, it, like you said, it kind of shocks her and it hits her. But at the same time, what I love about that is later on when she's telling the guy about the memory that she just had, he kind of gives her a different perspective on it. Yes. Remember, where like the whole time she thought it was because he hated her. He's like, it's obviously because he liked you, and that's the reason.
He knows how boys be.
Yes, but like we've been saying, you know, like it just sometimes takes her changing her perspective on a thing or something. Yeah. Like, is what changes the movie, not some kind of clash, like you were saying. Yeah. And that, it is kind of a shocking scene too. The way the little boy, or at least the boy, shows up on the bridge and everything. Yeah, it's kind of filmed almost realistically. No, it definitely is filmed realistically. That's why her face is like so shocked whenever she sees it too. She wasn't expecting a memory there, but no, because I like how that memory ends too, where like it's just her kind of walking like he does and spitting and everything. Just kind of her and like pantomiming him, but no, but then like after all that happens, it ends with just her getting dropped off at the train station. You know, like everyone's reconciled, they've all had a great night and all that. They're all saying bye. They're all saying bye, and then like this is probably one of my favorite credit scrolls, because like this is something you can honestly only do in anime. Like how would you do this in real life, in like a live action? You know, where like just those kids, like the kid, like she's just on the train back home. And then each kid just pops their head out, like from her memories. Like all of the kids from her memories just kind of pop their heads out and start looking at her. And then she's like, "This isn't the life I want." You know, like she does turn around. Like she goes back on the train, goes back, and it implies that, at least to me, it implies that she's marrying Toshio and she's gonna live on the farm, and she's gonna farm for the rest of her life. That's at least what it implies to me. But I think that's one of the better credit scrolls that. That's basically probably what. Like, I don't think it's definite.
No, I don't think it's definite for sure.
Because she does kind of just get up. What is she? They don't show where she walks to, right?
What do you mean?
What's the last shot of the movie? It's just an empty train seat, right?
No, it's her walking up to. Isn't it her walking up to the house to talk to them? Like, because I think they're both. I think Toshio and the dad are like working on a car or something. And maybe she had phoned, like she had called them to say that she was at the train station or something. Okay. But I think it ends with no, because it ends with them driving off. Because you remember, like she's walking with him, and like all the kids are walking behind them with that little triangle shaped wooden thing, kind of just like waving it back and forth, like yay. Okay. Like, but that's just something that you can never like do in live action to me, because you can't show memories like that in live action. It's just, I don't know.
I feel like you could though. Okay, maybe it's because I feel like I hate to plug in Fellini here, but like 8.5 does that really well, and that's because I want to think of like, okay, Fellini could probably do it, but like, I don't know. I'm a big Fellini fan, so probably don't listen to me.
It's more of like anime should be used for memories more.
Yeah, sure. I like that.
Or Dream. I mean, Paprika obviously is one of my favorite movies.
Paprika's amazing. We're doing Toshiko one for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, he only has 5 movies?
Yeah, 4.
Okay, 4. Yeah, we could definitely do an episode on him.
Yeah, but I just love that.
I can't go into more depth about 8.5 though, because I don't want to spoil it. But
you don't want to spoil it.
He secretly wants to talk about it so much.
Yeah. This is a sneak peek of
we'll get there.
Sneak peek of the next one.
But before we actually end it though, I need to mention that I definitely don't like it as much as you guys. Like, I definitely do really like it, but I think that's mainly because, like, I think you were talking about before, like, your life experience while watching this movie is very important. Like, I'm only
I'm the same age as the adult version of Taiko on this.
And
one.
I just got it. I'm 19 years old. I just got out of high school. Yeah. Like, I'm definitely gonna wait like probably 4 or 5 years to rewatch this, and I think it definitely is gonna hit me harder then. Yeah. Which I'm excited for it.
Yes, so. This one will grow on you for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, but I'm basically the same age too, and I feel like in 10 years when I watch it again, I'll like it even way more, you know?
Because it has something for everyone. We didn't even mention the Hungarian music. Sean would have been so mad at us.
Well, I mentioned the Bulgarian music.
The Bulgarian music, yeah.
But yeah, just that little, like, even that is not a huge deal, you know? He's just listening to peasant music from Eastern European countries.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know...
It's one of the things, like, this is obviously set in Japan, but it's one of the things that makes it feel like it's set, like, in their own little world, or, like, in just, like, it's everywhere. It could be anywhere. It could be literally anywhere, you know? Like this farming village could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what that music, at least, is symbolizing to me, because he always plays that music whenever they're farming and stuff.
I mean, Toshio even says something like that. Like,
yeah,
I like how the music is
that,
literally, you know, they live similar to us, too, even though it's a different place.
Yeah. No, this movie has something for everyone. I love it so much because it has characters of all.
And the music itself kind of proves that the way how easy it works just in the movie, even though it does feel like a Japanese movie for a lot of it. But then when he starts playing the music and they're driving in the car and everything, it just still works perfectly. Yeah. You know, it's not like a shock all of a sudden that you're hearing some like random music all of a sudden. It feels natural. Yeah. And the whole soundtrack is great though for this one as well.
I mean, Ghibli always have great soundtracks. So
honestly, it is one of their best parts. Like through all these movies, they've been really great.
Yeah, but I guess we can end it there. We'll go on ahead and talk about what's next week. Yeah. So next week we'll be doing Porco Rosso and Poko, another Miyazaki Takahata feature. Skipping Ocean Waves. Sorry, Ocean Waves fans, but you know, it kind of
all like 3 of them out.
All 3 of them.
I'm really excited to do these two too.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a fun week for sure. Like neither one of these movies are too serious or anything. Like it's literally Miyazaki's midlife crisis anime, and then like Takahata just making a weird ass raccoon balls raccoon ball movie.
But it's got some like serious messages in it too.
No, I love Poko for sure. I love both these movies, honestly. I mean, Studio Ghibli has just like this is why early Studio Ghibli is so amazing because they literally, at least to me, they literally don't miss a beat until Ocean Waves. But like we'll just pass, we'll just skip over that one. It doesn't exist, you know. No, but they literally didn't miss a beat like all the way up until Spirited Away to me, you know, like past Spirited Away to Howl's Moving Castle is the first, or maybe the Cat Returns also, but that one's not.
I'm kind of curious about that one too. I'm liking their cats so far in their movies.
Oh yeah, they got great cats.
Which one's the best cat though?
Gigi.
Definitely, yeah. I would say Gigi's definitely the best.
That's the one I was thinking of when I said that, but I feel like there have been cats in some other ones.
There's been the fox squirrel that was good. He was in 2 movies.
Basically, ass like.
Well, there's literally isn't there? They have a movie called The Cat Returns too.
No, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
that's one of the lower tier ones
yeah,
for sure.
But
there's also a Cat and Whisper in the Heart too.
Oh yeah, because he turns into it. Yeah.
No, but yeah. So until next time, we hope to see you guys floating in the clouds.